Hi everybody, Admir with UTS here. Today we are comparing the TYM T474H and the 2515H hydrostat version. These two tractors really shouldn't even be compared. I think the only reason that they do get compared is because they have similar loader lift capacities. They both lift around 2,200 pounds. Once you get away from the loader lift capacity, they're two completely different tractors, but because of that lift capacity, because of some of the things we're going to talk about in here, it is a common choice for customers to be deciding between these two tractors. So to answer some of those questions, we're going to get into it. The 474 has always been one of TYM's best-selling tractors, best-selling 48 horsepower tractor. It is a workhorse of a tractor, a small package with high horsepower. The 2515 was Branson's model, the 15 series. So before TYM and Branson merged, this was the direct competitor to this tractor in the higher horsepower, of course. So Branson historically made this tractor in 25 horse, 30 horse, 35, up to 48 horse. The 474 really was the 474, 48 horse. The same chassis was in a 35 horsepower T394, but loader is different, some other things are different. So this tractor was kind of standalone unit. This chassis, this transmission, this loader, all the way from 25 horsepower to 48 horsepower. Now, most people, when they get into deciding between these two tractors, again, I think the reason that they are looking at both is the lift capacity. So 2,200 pounds, 2,200 pounds, give or take. The big difference is power to do everything else. So the 2515 is a 25 horsepower, even less than 25 horsepower, 24 point something, 3-cylinder, naturally aspirated Kukje diesel engine. It is a very small engine in a very large tractor. It is the largest 25 horsepower tractor on the market. It is the highest lift capacity as well. So if you're just looking to do loader work, move dirt, use a grapple, things like that, that lift capacity is awesome. Lots of guys buy these things to basically use them as forklifts around their property, essentially. You will never run into emissions issues on these tractors because they don't have any emissions. All old school diesel, no computers, nothing on there. When it comes to the loader, it's fantastic. You get all of the lift capacity of this one without a lot of the other things that go into this tractor here. Now, what's the downside? There always has to be a downside. The downside is that this tractor is underpowered. I'm not going to say it's grossly underpowered, but it's underpowered. I personally own one of these tractors. The low and medium range is where you're going to be all the time. From basically whatever you're doing, high range is completely useless. Maybe if you're going downhill down a paved road, you can get up to speed in high range. Low and medium range is where this tractor does shine. I personally run a Ironcraft UL60 60-inch rototiller behind it. Low gear, you got to go nice and slow, but it does a great job. I bought this tractor for the lift capacity. I've got a tree puller, I've got a grapple. It destroys everything in its path. It's really a powerful machine as far as the loader goes. I run a 5-foot brush hog in the back of mine, does just fine. Due to the overall size of it, it is I think a much better recipient of a 5-foot brush hog than, for example, the smaller tractors like a T25, a 264, 254. I think a 5-foot brush hog behind one of those and just ends up being a ton of mass to pull behind you. This tractor handles it fine. 6-foot brush hog, you might ask? No, there's really not enough power unless you're cutting, barely any brush, which who does that? So that is the claim to fame, I guess, of this tractor. High lift capacity. You're going to be doing most of your work with the front end. Yes, of course, it's got a 3-point hitch. Of course, it can pull implements. Can it pull a box blade? Yes. Brush hog, rototiller, land leveler, all that stuff. Yes. But as soon as you start getting into something that might require a bit more power, you may be underwhelmed with this tractor. Compare that to the T474. 48 horsepower in basically the same size. So some other things to discuss here. The 15 series is also available with a 48 horsepower engine, with the same engine that's in this tractor. It would also come with bigger wheels and tires. I don't know if they're exactly the same size, but very similar. You can see there is a huge size difference between these two tires. That's because if you put bigger tires on this, you're going to be losing even more power. So that's why this gets the smaller radius tire to let you work it more efficiently. 474, again, high horsepower, smaller chassis. You will never be wanting for power with this tractor. Whatever you're doing back here, rototiller, I mean, we have guys that run a UM72 Ironcraft, a 6-foot rototiller. Never had a single complaint about it. I mean, this tractor has all the power you need. Loader lift capacity is there. Again, basically the same as this, the same as both models. The other things to consider are options and features. So let's get into some of those. The 2515 has the loader valve mounted up here. It is not in the fender. 474 has it fender mounted. It's more accessible. The third function kit. The factory kit for the 2515 is a diverter valve kit. That means single button, you have a diverter valve on the front of the loader, you press that single button, it opens and closes your grapple when you use what would be the curl and dump function. We instead use an aftermarket kit, a WR long kit in our dealership, which does give you the 2 buttons, but it is an aftermarket kit. We're cutting and splicing, we're finding a spot to mount that valve, the additional third function valve. 474 has a joystick, or a fender mounted joystick, and it takes the factory third function kit. I've talked about this in other videos of mine. I think it is a superior kit to everything out there, including the WR long kit. The WR long kit is a fantastic option for that tractor, but on this tractor, the TYM factory kit is great. Another thing to talk about, fuel tank location. So a downside, as some people might look at it, the fuel tank is back here on a 474. You have to raise that fuel can up high or get a pump or something like that. So it's not an inconvenient spot, in my opinion. The worst is when they're in the middle of the hood, but this is the second. The 2515 has the fuel tank mounted right below the step over here. So it's right here, super easy to pour. Some might say, yeah, you know, it's maybe open to exposure from the elements, from sticks or something hitting that tank. Well, in the years we've been selling TYM, including the 2515, I have yet to have anybody actually damage that fuel tank. There's guys out there that sell all kinds of protection and whatnot. The loader valve, the loader mount, where it sits right here, provides plenty of protection for that tank, and we've never seen somebody actually puncture it. So don't even let that be a consideration. You know, if you're looking at the placement of this tank, it is a good placement. Some other things to talk about. The 474 has telescopic 3-point links on the back. It has the external 3-point control lever. Makes it a breeze for hooking up implements. Those things are not even an option on the 15 series. The ROPS. So the 474, when you fold down the ROPS, it just folds 90 degrees. So you still have this little piece kind of that also sticks out going backwards. The 2515 has this really nice folds all the way down ROPS. I've bumped my head so many times on one of these when it's folded down to 90 degrees, something that's really hard to do on this one. Work lights, Bluetooth speakers, standard on the 474. As of yet, not even available on the 2515. It may come in the future. Overall, the durability of these tractors is great. We really don't see very many issues. They used to have a lot of cylinder bending on this loader or on older generations of this loader. The latest ones, we believe it's really been fixed. We haven't seen it in a long time. That doesn't really happen on this one. Front axles are good. They're reliable. We don't have any issues with them. The HST transmissions are fantastic. We never see issues with them. Both tractors have 3-range transmissions. High range is useless on this one. All 3 ranges are very useful on this tractor. It has enough power to make use of all of them. And we wanted to make this video to show the size difference. So you can see the 474, it sits a bit taller because of the tires, but it's also a slightly bigger tractor. And talk about, again, the features, the creature comforts, something to basically consider because this is a choice for a lot of customers. And last but not least, emissions on this tractor. The 2515, because it's under that 25 horsepower requirement, it is all mechanical. No electronics at all on this engine. 474, the engine itself is also all mechanical. It's a 4-cylinder mechanically fuel injected. It does have a DPF though. It has a particulate filter. There is a little computer that controls that DPF. There are things that you will run into with this tractor that you would never see on this one. And everything has an upside and a downside. You have to look at what you're looking to do with the tractor, how much power you actually need. Once you get into a tractor this size, and if you say, hey, I need more than 25 horsepower, you're going to have a DPF, basically, regardless of whichever brand you go with. And if you say Mahindra, look at my other videos. I don't want to talk about that. 474, as far as emissions tractors go, you can't go wrong. So those are the things to consider between these two models. I hope that this video is worth a watch. I hope it answers some questions. They're questions we get all the time, and we thought, why not put it in video form? If you have any other video ideas, please comment, please like, subscribe. Thank you.